Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am super excited. I'm stoked because I have my first guest, an amazing guest, MarjaWest, plays piano the best. Love her dearly, amazing. So I just want, first and foremost, let me just say I love you to death. So thank you for coming on.
Back at you, love. I love you too. So how's it going?
Super duper. Thanks for asking.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. It really, like, I have like fan nerves at this point because like I just am I really am a fan.
Relax. It's just like we're just chatting like we normally do. Only you're not. There's a lotus blossom in front of me.
Yeah.
And among other things.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yes. Touching the lotus feet.
Yes.
As they say. Well, you know what I want for today, because I do have plans. I want to have you back so we can do some deep dives on some of the like 8,784,221 things that you know about. How about that number?
Oh my God! I should have had my other shirt on that said "Yenya," which is I don't know, you know. But instead, I have "Pizdits," which means
it's something nasty.
Fucking hell.
Pizdits.
But I think it's on backwards there. Yes.
Well, you know, I can't tell what Cyrillic. My Cyrillic is almost as bad as my Hebrew.
Ah.
I can say sukkah bliet, but that's about it.
I am a lapsed Hebrew speaker, reader, and writer, so I am like, I'll have to be reminded at some point, one of these days.
So now you only speak like 14 languages, which
no,
you gotta work harder.
Hardly.
So you and I'm so fortunate and privileged to like have access to you, and it's amazing. You and I met online for sure.
Yes.
Right. And I was trying to reach back into the memory hole there and figure out quite where it started, but it was in the comment section somewhere. I know that for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Of the RT community.
Yes. And what is RT?
Reality Transurfing.
Okay. And
it was one of the channels. It was one of the rogue channels. I will say that. We won't mention it though. Okay. We won't mention it. And I believe I was defending your honor.
Very kind of you to do so.
Indeed. I am that way. I'm a defender of men.
You are, and I'm very grateful for that. I know that we probably also started talking on your channel, which is Love, Truth, and Beauty, and I'll make sure to put that in the show notes for sure, so that folks can find you there. And you, I think, were, gosh, that time. I mean, we're talking what, 7 or 8 years ago at least.
It's about 5 years. It's about 5 years ago for my channel, because my channel.
Oh, okay, right.
5. But before that, I was on a bunch of different podcasts here and there. I was on Freeman Fly's podcast.
Yes.
Freeman TV, and then part of Mark Passio's scene. So, you know, I've kind of made the rounds. And then I had a YouTube channel for like almost 10 years before it was deplatformed in 2015, unceremoniously, I might add.
Right.
And so it took me a while. It took me a while to like kind of get it together. I was on Bootsy Greenwood podcast as well before I started my channel. So, you know, there are opportunities. You show up when you get invited.
Right. And you have a great history of showing up.
I do show up.
Yeah.
Much to my dismay sometimes, because people throw rocks at me and stuff. Like, oh my God. Oh, this is really happening.
nobody forgets when Marja shows up. That's for sure.
Well, I'm trying to clean up my language because I know that I do have a potty mouth, and I tell people I have a potty mouth just to give them warning. But then they do give me the parameters. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, for me, for this channel, I only care about the first, what is it, 5 minutes or whatever it is that YouTube cares about, apparently.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after that, like, let it rip. Fine. Be the you that we all know and love.
Indeed. Okay.
Indeed.
All right. I feel much better. I don't feel so stressed.
No, don't.
You know.
I want people to experience the fullness that is the quiet storm.
Well, you know, people don't want to be stymied, because especially in their speech, and we're in that day and age now where people get so offended. You can't say that. How dare you say that? I mean, just all that nonsense. And it is,
yeah.
It makes me want to do really bad things. Just for shits and giggles, just to do it.
I wore my string of pearls today so that I could clutch them when you
oh, nice.
Say something horrible. You hear them, right? There you go. So starting with the history of Marja, I'm gonna start with your sort of like personality typing stuff.
Ooh. Yes.
That's a good place to start. I'm gonna Enneagram.
On the Enneagram, I am an 8.
You are.
And I didn't know I was an 8 until I went to an Enneagram party. I'd always thought I was like either I thought I was a tragic romantic. I thought I was a 4 for some reason, because I was sad a lot when I was young. I felt very kind of isolated and misunderstood. And my mom was a complete psychopathy. She was insane and violent. And I always thought, woe is me. What's going on there? But when I went to an Enneagram party in the early 80s, I believe it was, I walked in, and the guy that was throwing the party pointed at me. Here's an 8.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, oh, dear God, what just happened here?
Is that good? Is that good?
Yeah. And then he proceeded to, and he was super stoned. Super stoned. He proceeded to, just kind of kidnap me. I was meeting a couple of friends there, and he sat me down on the couch and just started telling me about myself. And by God, he was pretty much correct.
Okay.
And so I learned through that interaction that my 8 was developed by a bully.
Okay.
And my mother was also an 8. And so I learned to not be timid. I learned to take the bull by the horns. I learned to be forthright. I learned how to be the boss of my own reality.
Nice.
And I had already had a lot of support in that manner, because I read the Kabbalion when I was 12. I'd read Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz in around the same time. And I also read the Gulag Archipelago.
Wow.
When I was like 15. So, between the ages of 12 and 15, I had a smattering, including Ayn Rand, of a lot of different ways the world could go wrong.
Right. You had the existential crisis starter set already.
Indeed. And how it could go right with the proper up-leveling of your thinking. So the whole tragic romantic, me and the relationship between myself and the 4, I realized those are the people I was attracting.
Okay.
Oh Lord, yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm speaking of like direct action to change your world.
Yes.
It reminds me of a little story about your childhood that involves a television.
Yes. That story. Yeah, it is a true story. Um, so the television was not one of my things because I literally would witness my family members being sort of sucked in by the screen and really having reactivity responses. Uh, uh, the majority of them really not cool, like really upsetting responses to the television. And we were watching, or they were watching rather, it was a funeral procession for some dignitary. I don't remember who it was. It could have been John F. Kennedy, but
Oh, wow.
I can't swear to that. I can't swear to that because I really wasn't paying attention. I was mostly enthralled by, wow, I wonder what would happen if I just went around the corner behind the TV and just unplugged it. So I did. And I caught hell for it. But what was amazing was the immediate sort of upticking in this. They were literally startled when the TV uh, just suddenly got turned off.
Yeah, broke the spell.
And I found that to be a very poignant moment in my life,
Right.
that I'm not going to let anything suck me in like that. And I didn't have the vocabulary for that. You know, I was little. I was no more than 2 years old. So I had this realization that I'm on my own, basically, that these people were not my people, and that I was basically alone.
Okay.
And it was interesting because in hindsight, I realized I did not have the desire to mimic them or be just like them.
Right.
No,
not at all. And you took, it's interesting, like you did this super direct logical thing, like, oh, there's a situation that's causing these people distress, I can fix that. And then
indeed.
instead
So
of instead of being rewarded for it, it was just
no, I was, and so I got banned a lot from the immediate location where everything was. I got sent to my room quite a lot. Quite often I would just sneak out outside and hang out by my favorite birch tree. I have a fondness for birch trees. So I would just go and do that. Or I would go to my best friend's house, Becky Goldberg, and her dynamic in her family's house was just so different from mine. These people actually were kind to each other, talked to each other. They asked questions. They asked me questions. Nobody was yelling and nobody was getting hit or smacked about. And so that was unusual for me. So the contrasting experience of being at the Goldbergs versus being at my house and either being shunned, sent to my room, or slapped around and punched and yelled at was like, I mean,
And didn't that the mother in that household sort of become a model for you in terms of thinking about how to be a good mother as opposed to your mother?
Yeah, Danielle she was beautiful, she was kind, she was smart. She was one of those moms that not only looked good and was super smart, but was like super nice. My mom looked great. She was super smart, but she was mean as fuck. And so the contrasting experience of that because I used to stare at my mother and just go, oh, she's so pretty. And, I just wanted her to love me. I wanted her to love me and be proud of me and all this. I used to chase around the house. Why won't you love me, mommy? I mean, that's just so sad. So I related that following her around and then having the door slammed in my face and falling asleep in front of her bedroom door. Regarding the Enneagram, that to me, that was a tragic romantic, I would think.
Okay, yeah.
What it was teaching me is that, no, girlfriend, you can do this on your own. You don't need her approval. You got skills. You got skills. And one of my skills that I cultivated was leaving my body on a regular basis, also pretending that I was a fairy. And good fairy, bad fairy. So this is how I coped in such an evil household, is that I have this very rich, otherworldly life that was outside of the purview, the parameters of, the inside of my house, where I was in Fantasyland, in real Fantasyland, because I was actually transporting myself to another realm.
Right.
And that just became easy. Became easy.
I just made a connection that I hadn't ever made before.
Yeah.
That was a managed reality.
Indeed. Absolutely, indeed.
So you
and
have
so
taken, yeah.
When I was 12, there was a box of books that were gifted to me by neighbors who were moving. And unfortunately, their cat had peed all over it because it was not thrilled that there were boxes all over its home. But one of the books that was in there was a collection of Neville Goddard books.
Yeah.
And all those books that were in there, the Kabbalion, Psycho-Cybernetics, and Neville Goddard, Florence
Scovel Shin
was in there. Catherine Ponder was in there. I mean, just all these amazing books. And also there was a set of Krishnamurti books. I was just absorbing all of this stuff that really, I think, empowered me to just not push up against that shit show of a household that I was in. So I literally was there, but I wasn't there. I managed my reality in another realm.
Out of necessity, yeah.
Out of necessity, indeed. Yeah.
Your Myers-Briggs, you have to tell me. I'm pretty sure I know it, but I'll just let you.
You mean the INFJ? Yeah. Yes, I'm an advocate.
You're an advocate. So Myers-Briggs, you're an advocate, and Enneagram, you're a challenger.
Yes.
So I think that says a lot.
Yeah. Well, I challenge people's victimization.
True.
And I challenge the bully. And I challenge bullshit.
Yes, you do.
And and I think being raised by such a nasty bully, it really primed me to be able to stand on my own and not waver, not cower.
Right.
And it's like all those training things that you go through, that just the slights, the slings, the arrows, the little slaps, the name calling, especially the being talked down to. It's like you learn how to manage a heckler.
Right.
And so throughout my life, whether it's speaking stuff, teaching, performing, I used to be on the singer-songwriter circuit, and there was one gig where every now and again you'll get booked into a bar or a club that you have no business being in.
Right.
like a biker bar.
Right.
and all of a sudden, you're doing a sound check, and you notice there's an icy vibe that you
Hmm.
are that's being thrown at you, and then you start your gig, and there's a big biker dude having a beer, and he throws a beer at you, saying, "Everybody hear this vagina music,"
Oh,
and just like, holy moly, and catching the bottle as it comes careening over, spilling all over my arm, and I'm at the piano, and I actually took a sip, and I yelled at him, and I said, "I've got 20 minutes for my set. If you don't like it, get the fuck out." And I threw it back at him. And this guy ended up being one of my biggest advocates, amazingly enough. And it helped that I opened with a Joni Mitchell song that he apparently was gaga over. I mean,
nice.
who knew? Who knew? So I've had these instances where a lot of my childhood abuse training came in, and to just be defiant and just be the little 8 and go, no, I'm not moving. No, I'm not going to shut up.
Right. Yeah. And that certainly came in handy. I was going to segue into your musicianship, and I will also note that not all, but a whole lot of really good musicians come from difficult backgrounds. I have
not surprised.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not surprised. I mean, you're in that category as well.
Afraid so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was also a club musician, and a songwriter, and I played guitar and bass and drums, and I sang, and it was a great way to deal with whatever disaster had become of my internal landscape, I guess.
Indeed.
Indeed. And an escape. Yeah, it's sort of, and in a way, it's also a managed reality, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Because you have no control over club situations. Like, I had no control over a piano unless I did my own roadie work.
Right.
And I did that quite a lot. You learn how to lift things. You learn how to work a dolly.
Yeah.
How to pack your truck and unpack it, rain or shine, and do all that kind of stuff. And you learn crowd management and how to work a room.
Right.
So I was always a smart ass, and I was always talking about the songs, and in context to the shit show that I was observing, say, in the Matrix. So there was a lot of I was tuned into a lot of the geopolitical stuff that was going on during that time, and also I had children, so I would talk about parenting, talk about the crap through that happened at the grocery store when I was checking out.
Right.
People looking at me going, "Oh, by the way, has it ever occurred to you that you have runny shit falling to the floor and going down your hair and your back with the baby on your hip?" Oh yeah. So you wind these real life stories
Yeah.
during a performance, and it's amazing because people relate.
It's true. One of the songs I wrote it was basically about the time that me and some friends decided to drive to the mountains and do just like rough camping.
Oh boy.
Now, the story part really was my friend being very naive. This was college age, so he was oh so nice and oh so helpful to the clearly deranged homeless man that he decided to pick up and bring with us. Who subsequently like went through all of our stuff, stole all the food,
Oh,
you know,
shit.
and then just vanished. So that was a fun little song.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know how you weave these events into
Yes.
songwriting.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to do because it is relatable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Surprise!
Now you played, see, I'm always stunned when I think about it. So you played and I think performed with also as a pianist, guitar player, and I want to say violin or viola.
Violin.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
And not just and for people who are thinking about like people in beautiful couture sitting in a quartet, no. That's not what she was doing, folks. Tell us, paint a picture of you with the violin on the street.
So one of the things that I did early on is I discovered Jean-Luc Ponty. I discovered the music of Stéphane Grappelli. So these were all electric jazz violinists in the 70s, and also a violinist by the name of Scarlett Rivera, who's an American violinist, just beautiful. And I'm like going, I want to be her. So I used to practice because I was in various string quartets, the Bach double, and I was the second violin part. So I used to practice that on Durant and Telegraph with this little mini guitar cube, and I had a pickup attached to my violin, and I would practice this, and I could imagine that I was a sight because I had hair down to my knees practically, and this was the 70s, so I by that time I was making my way and getting ready to move out of my house, and I was defiant. So I would don a white tube top and hip hugger bell bottom pants.
Nice.
And before I got my navel pierced, glue a jewel in my belly button just because I could, and just wow the crowd for chump change. And it was so much fun. And I eventually would generate enough money to like go after practice, pick up all my stuff, go into Cody's bookstore, which was the famous bookstore. It might still be there on Telegraph by the university, which was hippie town at that point in the 70s.
Right.
And I would go in there and like buy a book. And one of the first books that I bought was this collection of photographs by women photographers, such as, well, anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't want to go into that. That's a whole other, I'll just mention one, Judy Dater, who actually ended up, she ended up being a friend of one of my longtime friends. And she ended up actually photographing me for my first book. So Judy Dater was there. And also, ironically, one of the other women that was featured there is the photographer, Diane Arbus, who took her own life. She took her life after she photographed the family of Conrad Metheny, who was a soap opera star for, I think it was The Secret Storm or The Edge of the Night, one of those soap operas.
Right.
And his only daughter, or his oldest daughter, became one of my best friends, Marcella Metheny, who lives in Florida. We're still friends. And so Marcella and I meet each other like way down the line. Here's the other thing too. Judy Dater also photographed Joyce Goldstein, who was a famous chef and is the mother of my other best friend, Karen Goldstein, who is my long time friend. You could not ask for a more wonderful, loving best friend. And we've been friends for over 40 years. And, just seeing each other through all the relationships. Like, she knew me when I was married, and she saw me through the divorce. She knew the kids, and, just all of that. And we did music together. So yeah, it's just kind of fun. So all these little intricate little relationships, just based on this book that I bought from busking,
Right.
Practicing my violin on Durant and Telegraph in 1973, I believe.
For such a big world, it's such a small world,
Yes, and we're all connected, and I'm still connected to these people, which is really just kind of amazing. I mean, they are part of my inner circle, just like you. And
right. Thank you.
It's a very small circle, but it is a circle that is very supportive and loving, and very, very much my advocate, so that I can be an advocate.
Right. And bring in that challenger as well. Like, that's a great combo.
Yes.
It makes you a powerhouse for justice.
Yes. Well, and then in the Enneagram too, having a very strong 9 wing, so the humanitarian, and I am currently endeavoring to develop my 7 wing.
Yes.
Because I am somewhat of an epicure. I've traveled quite a lot, but the traveling has never been for pleasure. It's always been for work, for a project, touring. So it's always been work related. And never been for, just for the hell of it, to go on a vacation. It's like, what's that?
Right. And so now you get to see that. Sometimes I think that the other wing, the one that's underdeveloped, I kind of think of that as a shadow wing.
Indeed. Okay.
So so I'm a 9, folks.
Yes.
And I'm really 9 wing 1. And my shadow wing is absolutely for sure the 8.
Okay.
Right? So that's something that I, coming to terms with. And so I want to understand and make it very plain. Like, it's not like, oh, I don't like Marja, she's an 8. That's not the problem. My father is an 8.
So. Oh dear.
Yeah, and he's not so well developed, let's just say. Levels of health, not really kind of making it to the self-actualization type stuff. So
yeah, kind of like my mom.
Yeah, underdeveloped 8s are hell on earth.
Indeed, that is for sure. That is a good way to put it. Hell is not after you go; it's while you're here.
Yeah. So that said, I do need to develop my 8, and I think in many ways your example has been helping me with that. And you and I we've done all kinds of stuff together, which is really, really great. I'm fortunate. Like, sometimes I'll get like a little video from Marja, and it's got her playing the piano, and it's like, that's amazing. I'm going to put my guitar down forever now. I would just give up.
Oh, no, join in.
He's killing it. Yeah, and you also have you have killer guitars, man. You have a great collection. I've yet to hear you play guitar, but
I do have a collection. I'm more self-taught. Oh, actually, that's not true, because I did play classical guitar for a very, very long time. And I utilize a lot of that kind of technique in my picking and that kind of stuff. But I mostly played rhythm guitar. I mean, don't ask me to do a lead. I find I admire people who can do a lead and not feel like they're masturbating in front of everybody.
Right.
That's just my thing. It's just like, no, not so much. So I like to do a really cool, funky rhythm guitar. I'm into it. I've played in funk bands. I like it. I like it very much.
Yeah.
I played in bands where I am the only non-Black soul playing in the band, and it was fantastic. Really, really fantastic.
Nice. I was in a 6-piece reggae band where I was the other white guy. So
yes, and I've played in a reggae band as well. But yeah, that kind of guitar playing, though, I mean, snooze me to hell and back. I can't.
Right.
Do it. I can't.
I was the bass player, so it was just such a feel good gig, though. I loved it.
Indeed.
Yeah, it was
Indeed.
fun.
Yeah. Cool.
So I think people's probably strongest associations with you, if they find you, is going to be a lot of esoteric stuff, and you have an enormously long history of so many different esoteric learnings, right? It's big.
It was kind of what happens, though, when you're pushing 66, is that you realize that all the dabbling that you did led you to other things.
Yeah.
Where you went deeper rather than dabbled. So yeah, I have made the rounds, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But there are some go-tos that are they're just standards.
Okay. So it's almost like you took this really big survey in an open way where you were like, I know that people talk about spiritual tourism, like you're a dilettante or whatever, but not you.
Well,
but,
we are tourists, though.
Yeah, that is true. But I think if you do it in an open-eyed way and a really truly accepting way, not like I'm just tolerating the stupid belief, watching these monkeys in their cage, but when you actually are open to it and you go, I really want to know how this is important and how this fits into like the big picture of life, the universe, and everything. You picked up so much, but I think probably the thing that I'm most interested in is, what do you find valuable now? Like what are the things that you're just like, that was gold and it's always been gold?
Yeah. So what I find valuable now is numerology.
Okay.
That is, I'm a numbers person. I'm a math geek. I have a thing about it. So I'm constantly, the numbers are constantly clicking in my head faster than I can remember them. So that's a very interesting thing. So numerology, the Kabbalion.
Okay.
The teachings of Neville Goddard.
Good old Nev.
Yeah, indeed.
Jesus Christ is your own wonderful human imagination.
Yes. Reality transurfing. Now, mind you, reality transurfing is relatively new. It's about 22 years for me, or 21 years for me. I first found out about it in 2004 when I was visiting friends in Bulgaria, and my friends Irina and Svetlana had a book. It was in German. And I'm like, what is this?
Right.
And I just sucked it up. And I sucked it up because a lot of it is very Neville Goddard. Some people would say that it's like the law of attraction. No, it's not, actually. I don't think it is. I think people are more inclined to conflate reality creation with law of attraction.
Sure.
But they're not the same thing.
No.
Because with Neville Goddard and with reality transurfing, this is about the way you think. And it relates to the Kabbalion, as above, so below, from without, so from within, so without, so the universe, so the soul. So that's always stuck to me, that if I didn't like something going on out here in the Matrix, okay, it was because there was something inside me that was being reflected in this outer thing. So I had to clean it up. And most of the time, I had to clean up my thoughts.
Okay.
And that's hardcore. Because
it is.
Oh, shit. I have to what? I gotta clean up my fucking thoughts.
How do you even do that?
Oh, shit. So I used to journal a lot. And so that's one of the things that's been a constant is the journaling and burning. So I would journal, and nothing fancy. I don't, fancy journals, I'm attracted to them, but let's face it, I'm going to burn it at the end. So wasting money on a leather bound journal is just not going to be my thing. So
Right.
I like things like this. I'll show you.
I get a lot of my notebooks from the Dollar Tree, by the way.
Yeah, the Dollar Tree. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So this is my thing. I come to the end of it, I rip the pages and I burn it.
Wow.
Because who needs to have, because when I'm journaling, I'm upchucking. I'm trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
I'm usually trying to figure shit out because shit is not working for me.
Right.
So I'm endeavoring to really notice where my mind fucks it up. And my mind fucks it up every single time. Yeah.
As they say in NLP, deletions, distortions, and generalizations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or as I've been very fond of saying lately, phantoms. I've been calling everything phantoms, and it's actually worked really well for me.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like you're surrounded by phantoms.
Because they're less to be identified with. They're less to stick onto.
Right. Have you ever noticed, by the way, you probably have had this experience where you've got a fresh notebook, and then you have one that you filled up, and one that you filled up is heavier, and it took me a while to figure out why. I was like, it's the ink.
Indeed.
I used that much ink. Oh my God.
It's really true. And I discovered that, God, I think I was I had to be maybe 9 or 10.
Okay.
And do you remember the paper it was brown paper? All of the schools had them. Anyways.
Yeah. With the line, the big lines, and then it kind of looked like a roadway in some ways. It had the solid line and broken line, solid line.
Yes. Yeah. So I had one of those, and I had one of the neighbors, mom or dad, I don't remember exactly, punch holes through it, and I threaded I don't remember, it was carpet thread. I think it was just twine, and I just remember that I would draw things and rant and rave.
Right.
Plot.
And I'm old enough to remember that nothing smelled better than freshly mimeographed copy.
Ooh.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm, I do. I remember that. I remember that. Those chemicals, that was good. Yeah. And what was that paste? There was a paste that smelled good too.
Oh, it
and
did.
Play-Doh smelled very good.
Smelled very good.
Yeah.
And so did Silly Putty.
Yes. So all those memories of fun times as a kid.
Right.
So I have those,
I do too. And I think you and I share a thing. I don't know. I'm bringing this up. If we can talk about it or not. But we discovered something about ourselves later in life, shall we say? Certain.
Remind me.
Starts with an A. Ends with a tism.
Oh yes, that. Indeed, yeah, being on the spectrum, quote unquote, or off the spectrum, whichever way you want to take it. Yes. Well, I know for me, when I was at school, I was very hyperactive.
Right.
And so one of the things that happened when I was 6 is that I was given Ritalin to try to control my behavior. And that was a little rough because I took it once and literally felt my consciousness just receding. It was like it was falling away from me. And I remember thinking, that's not going to work for me. So I pretended, because by that time I learned how to not make waves, that I was just going to pretend I was just going on with it, going along to get along without pushing up against stuff. And I just started sticking the thing in the philodendron. Just put it in there. And the thing went crazy. The plants went insane all over the house. But what made me realize was that pills were a form of control.
Yeah. Gardening tips by Pfizer.
Yes. Yeah. Not cool. I don't want to be controlled. So I fortunately do not have an addictive personality.
That is good.
I don't like things controlling me, and just being on my own from a very, very young age, because I left home when I was very young, 14. I needed to be sharp. Like, all my friends were getting stoned and dropping acid. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. I need to be sharp. I need to know what's going on around me, which is, by the way, very 8.
Yeah, it is.
And be very, very vigilant. I can't be stoned or drunk and have to, find my way out of a potato sack. It's just not going to happen. So I was very, acutely, probably hyper aware of reality in many cases. And so the autism thing for me, because during the 60s and 70s, there wasn't a lot of information about girls, because it was mainly seen as a boy's affliction.
Right.
And so what I did, because I had already been used to modeling my behavior after, say, Becky's mother, Danielle, and there were quite a number of people that I admired. I feel like I managed my autism by feigning competence, by copying, imitating, people that I admired, and people who I felt were living the life I wanted to live, or behaving in a way where, oh, wow, that worked. So I feel like with the autism, like people had always said that I was inappropriate, kind of on the aggressive side sometimes, or I had no filters. I would just come out with it. And I just assumed that was because I'd been bullied so much.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to be docile, because if I was docile, there was nobody around that was going to stick up for me or defend me. So I learned how to just assert myself, and then, just saw a lot of nonsense in terms of my work life, like people stealing or people getting yelled at and stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not happening. I don't want to be an employee. So I learned that early on. By the time I was like 21, 22, I'd been fired from over 25 jobs because I would mouth off, or I was a cocktail waitress for a while, and I would get manhandled, and I would throw wine in men's faces.
That reminds me of a statistic that
Yes.
I'm gonna little guessing game. What percentage of people with a diagnosis of autism in the United States are unemployed?
Quite a lot, I believe.
80%.
Holy shit.
80%.
Yeah,
Now,
I haven't had a regular job in, pushing 46 years. No.
It got me thinking about why, though, because it's like, okay, well, the obvious the answer that would come to most people is like, well, you just can't do it. But that's not where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's an interesting combination of like sincerity and expectations that people are going to do the right thing and not be political, and that you take things at face value. and it's the bullshit and the politics and the unexpected things where you're just like, why would a person do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's something that I've noticed as a characteristic of mine looking back, is like, I just had this, it looks like naivete, but it's almost like an idealism and an expectation that people are just going to do the right thing, right? That's how we do this here at work. But that's not how the world actually works.
Indeed.
So you get caught out where, like, what do you mean you're, banging the secretary? What do you mean you're stealing stuff out of the back door?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Right? And so we stick out like just sore thumbs.
Yes.
And also we have a certain amount of distress intolerance for stuff like that, and we'll make the big stink. We're the ones that are like, hey, actually, you know what? I found a bunch of files in the file system that say confidential, do not copy, and they belong to our competitor. Does anyone want to explain that? And everyone's like, shut up.
Yeah.
I've
had similar experiences. That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something I considered. It's a little sad, actually.
Yeah.
We just don't have the capacity, or as much capacity, for that level of politics, guile, intrigue, sneaky crap.
Or you just cover your butt. So one of the things that I did is that I used to sell insurance. And the general agent that I worked for was, you talk about another fucking bully beyond belief. And this was right around the time of the stock market crash. And leading up to that, there were quite a number of things that I just kind of noticed about what the fuck he was up to. And I'm like, And so I had to cover my ass file. And I just started making notes, stamping, dating them, making copies and shit like this. And I had a notebook and a file and just all kinds of stuff. And whoa, that just came in handy. Came in handy because he got investigated and got busted for shit, and it was just interesting. There was just something told me, look, you don't know what's going on, but you know enough to know that it's not cool.
Right.
And so a lot of it was for me just hitting that wall of truth and going, yeah, I'm not down with this.
Right.
And I'm either going to say something or I'm going to step away and quit, but not before I call you out.
Right.
So, like when I was a cocktail waitress, if I got manhandled, they got 3 chances. And after the third thing, that was it. You were going down. And so I was very bold, where I learned how in 5 moves take down a 6'2" man, either on his face or on his butt, with my knee in his Adam's apple. So, but it didn't go very well with say the bartender or the owner. So I got canned. I would just get fired.
Because you're not being cool. You're not playing along.
No,
like, come on, man.
You know what? I don't want you touching me. Okay. Why would you think that would be okay?
Right. Exactly.
And it was during the day, back in the day, where sexual harassment hadn't even been broached yet. So I feel like the ladies in my generation, we paved the way for all you bitches to be able to complain at will.
Right.
And unfortunately, it has created a climate of hating all men, especially white men. And I apologize for that, because that just isn't the case.
Right. So
not all men do that kind of shit.
No, fortunately. So is there anything else that's like sort of a golden nugget from your many sojourns on that long and winding road of esoteric travels?
I'd have to say that the tufty material
Okay, right.
of Vadim Zalen and reality transurfing is a real game changer for me.
That and right, and that was the sort of the narrative that's done in kind of a fantasy scenario by this figure, Princess Tufty, and she
Yes.
tells you various things in that rather direct Eastern European way.
Yes. Yes.
Your snail.
My little snails. Yes. In fact, in honor of the tufty, look at this. Look at this baby. Oh yes. Oh,
That is nice snail.
yeah, it's my golden snail here. Yeah. So
Very nice.
I'm into it. So the tufty material, the plate, the plot, the braid, that, and also the whole idea that every moment of everyone's life is captured on a film reel and always has been. I really, really like that because I've played with that for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's like, whoa, that's just cool because the shit works. But so I'm experimenting with things that are seemingly inconsequential, and it doesn't seem to matter because inconsequential or not, the consequences and the changes are like they're immediate.
Right, because you don't have you've dropped importance, as some would say, right? It's
indeed.
You don't get hung up, lust for results, all that, and then magic flows much more easily. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The plait braids, sort of like the Carlos Castaneda thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the appendage point.
Right, the assemblage. Yes.
Not the appendage. That is the stuff. Or the magic wand, the wizard stuff.
Yes.
It's the same.
Okay. Right.
To me.
No. It's all good. So here's the counter question for that is on your many journeys, what are some things that you dropped that you no longer find valuable? You left them behind because you came to a different understanding.
Oh, okay. The whole notion of past lives.
Okay.
I've dropped that simply because I feel like, I've dropped reincarnation.
Okay.
I've always felt that was a trap. I've also dropped my emotional attachments to people, places, and things.
Okay.
What I notice for me, what's gotten harvested the most for me has been a lot of heartache and emotional pain. And the heartache and the emotional pain, through my journaling and burning, I've discovered that, oh my God, this is part of my undoing because of my emotional attachment. And when you have emotional attachment to people, places, and things, there's also a mental concretization that your existence cannot move on unless you are connected to this. And then connecting that to the past lives and or reincarnation, following the white light after you go so you can meet up with old lovers, old cats and dogs and shit like that. It's like, no, fuck it. I'm not. No. No.
Right.
And so I think it was like 15 or 16 years ago, I discovered the writings of Wes Penra. And I'm just like, I love this dude. I just love this dude because he goes into our true galactic heritage. Okay. Nothing about the Abrahamic religions, which in my opinion, I've let go of all of those, and I'm a Jew.
Right.
So I don't practice any of that stuff, but I see the Abrahamic religions as really the true elements of Satanism. You know?
Okay.
Satan is not a person, people.
What?
Satan is not a person, not a thing. It is the idea that you can get over on people.
You mean it's not literal?
No.
What? I can hardly believe it.
Yeah, so I've let go of all that kind of stuff. I'm into Luciferian in that Lucifer to me is the bringer of light.
Okay.
After the dark night of the soul. So I just let go of a lot of that stuff because it when you start understanding that and you really start looking at our collective history, the collective pain body,
Okay.
the manipulation of media, the constant triggering of atavism within ourselves, all of us, where we can freely say, oh, I hate those people because of this, that, and the other thing. It's like, you got to take charge of yourself because you're just being worked. You're being a tool for some motherfucker that you don't even know.
Right.
And you think you're free. And that is, and letting go of the truth and freedom movement. Okay. I've let all those communities go. I've let go of Tantra. I've let go of all these clubs because what I've discovered is that every club, regardless of who they are, this includes reality transurfing, the various groups, ends up being a totalitarian echo chamber shit show of yes people, flying monkeys, and sycophants, where if you have one thought or one idea that is contrary to the whole deal, okay, you're not one of us. And I'm like going, good. I don't want to be one of you.
I heard, I was listening to a lady on YouTube who survived, I think it was, I want to say, it's like, I can't remember the name of the cult. It was something simple like Children of God or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's had something so poignant and it stuck. She said, you know, all cults start as communities.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, they do.
Just they don't start as a cult, right? And so not all communities are cults, but all cults were communities at one point.
Indeed.
So you're spot on there.
And I get accused of it. I get accused of being part of Mark Passio's One Great Work Network cult. Do I agree with everything he said? Of course not. I don't. You know, so all these people that want to, like, you know, conflate my presence on his network with, you know, being one of his sycophants, it's like, please fuck off. Oops. Sorry, that just came out. Holy shit. No, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean it that way, but I did, actually.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny because you and I we have a few people in common from various places and intersections in life, like Freeman Fly.
Freeman's amazing.
He is.
He's really a good guy. He's really a good guy, and he's not part of anybody's fucking cult.
No. He'll show up in places, right? But that doesn't mean that he's of that place.
Yeah, that I do the same thing. Yeah. I've been to all those. I've been to the same conferences he's been to, and it's like, no, not so much.
Yeah, I lived in Austin and ran into him a number of times, and I think the best thing I ever heard him say, and it saved me. Like I was kind of in crisis. This was like 2016-ish. There might have been an election or something going on. And
really around that time?
Yeah. He said, and this was the best thing, and I've kept it close to my heart ever since. He said, they want your reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good harvesting.
Don't give it to them.
No, don't.
Just simple as that.
And those are the pendulums that Vadim talks about, you know, in his first set of books, is that people hop onto those mass consciousness swings of left, right, center, all of that kind of stuff. And it's an energy harvesting system. It's a shitstorm that will hijack your attention.
It is. Well, I wanted to let you know that I'm starting the Puppies and Kitties party. And we are obviously good people because it's the Puppies and Kitties party. And we're such good people that if you disagree with us, we're just going to kill you.
Pretty much.
So how about that?
Holy shit.
That's politics in a nutshell.
Yeah. I can think of someone.
I can't imagine.
I can think of a lot of names that went there. It's like, holy moly.
I'm so great and so kind and so amazing that I have license to just ruin you utterly, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. And that's that same bully energy.
Yeah.
That my way, or I will fuck you up. Some way, somehow.
And also the weird displacement of people's own personal authority that happens when an ideology comes cruising in, and suddenly they're not really quite themselves. They're you know, quoting things they heard on the news or this or that, and it's like they hand their sovereignty over to this group or idea.
Yes.
And it's super scary when your friends are like all saying the same phrases. You're like, oh man.
Yes.
That's weird.
It's mind control.
Yeah.
It's total mind control. And so, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I've not had a TV since the 80s. You know, I refuse. I will not.
And even if you did, it would be unplugged.
You know, it would be unplugged. And, you know, I feel the same way about YouTube and social media, you know. So I tend to use third-party apps to post on social media rather than being on the app itself, because it's easy. All of a sudden you're fucking scrolling. It's like, oh my God, no. What am I doing? I don't like to be controlled like that. I don't like it. I don't like people telling me what to do, how to think, what to say, what to look at. Fuck you. No, I'm not. And so, you know, that's just kind of me being snarky and bratty.
But honest, you know.
And I tell people, don't take my word for anything either. You know, we're all, I mean, and that's one of the things that I like about reality trend surfing is that, and Neville Goddard, we are all creating our own unique layer of the universe. So with 8 billion people on the planet, that's 8 billion different realities being created.
Yeah.
You know, you and I right now, our realities are intersecting right now, but we're each creating our own unique layer.
Yes.
You know, we've got our own sectors of our universe.
So we've mentioned reality transurfing a lot. And I know I do know that this is a hard thing I'm going to ask you to do. Is it at all possible for you to give a short summary of reality transurfing? I know that's a big ask, but like, how would you, like, if someone said, hey, I heard this thing, it's called reality transurfing, but I don't know what it is, and I've got like a minute. You know, we're going up to the 8th floor in this elevator. And
oh boy. Well, so for me, this is how I see reality transurfing.
Okay.
Everything that you want is already in existence.
Oh.
Everything you want is already in existence. And what you have to do is that you have to intend to meet up with it. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay.
The way you do that is you own your attention. You don't own your attention when you're out in the matrix reacting to what's going on or reacting in your head to what you see is going on. You gotta, like, what is the saying? You gotta see yourself, see reality.
Right. Wake up, see yourself.
Exit the matrix into your center screen hook up the plot, and what happens is that the universe will actually propel you to that sector where it's all going on.
And by sector, you mean sort of like the correct branch of the multiverse, multi-time stream.
Indeed. Where that version of you is right there.
Okay. So in some ways, it's really just you moving your consciousness to the appropriate timeline.
Indeed.
Right. Not physically.
That's exactly what it is. And what is waltzing in and out of the matrix? Is it your body? No, it's your consciousness.
Well, man, I've been doing the two-step in and out of the door behind me for like a week. No wonder it didn't work. I was trying to do the waltz. It didn't work.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So I think that's a good summary of transurfing. And it is based on Vadim Zeland, who was or is a quantum physicist, right?
Indeed. Yep.
So he's a multi-worlds guy, and that's part of the assumptions behind transurfing. So,
and I think it's an accurate assumption. Otherwise, we wouldn't have different experiences.
Right. Okay. So I only wanted to pull that forward because we'd mentioned it so many times, and I realized there might be some folks listening who are like,
yes,
what are they talking about?
Yeah, what the fuck are they talking about?
What are they doing these crazy
And
people?
it's not new age. It isn't new age. You can actually test this shit for yourself. But you have to be very, very clear about your focus.
Okay. So that the screens, right? I could be wrong because I'm not the great Svengali of transurfing at all, but I think of them as like the outer screen being the attention grabbing things that happen out in the world, and then
that's the matrix.
And then the inner screen would be the attention grabbing phantoms of your mind and your emotions
in your head. Yeah, that internal dialogue that's usually in reactivity to the shit you're seeing out in the matrix.
Right.
And the awakened center is in between, where you can see the shit show out in the matrix, notice your reactivity, and also know that, oh, here I am. This is where I am alive. This is where creativity happens. This is the only place where creativity happens. Okay. And reality is materialized.
And so in a way, you've been doing this since you were a little kid, in a way.
Indeed. Yeah.
Good fairies and bad fairies.
It's true.
Yeah. I was just really good at dissociating. Like, I just wasn't here, and sometimes it was just because I was in my head somewhere, or I was listening. Music did that for me too. Like I could be so absorbed in music that nothing else was happening.
Yeah.
So I guess we're all reality managers.
Yes.
Born
to varying degrees. And, you just get good at it, but you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention. So your attention management is like such a skill.
Yeah.
That everybody needs to learn.
True.
And unfortunately, with the advent of social media and all these applications, it's easy to just fitter away hours and hours and hours and hours and lots of energy and just not do anything except, get your energy harvested by these applications, which are all part of AI, all part of the techno universe. And, it is part of the technogenic system. And it's an artificial part of the technogenic system, as Vadim would say, in the other book, Hacking the Technogenic System. And, in that book, of which I've been in the process of reading the translation that went from Russian to Arabic and from Arabic to English. Right. I've been doing videos on it, but I've kind of fallen off the wagon, because I just wasn't getting any response from people. But I'm going to take it up because I think I've got like maybe 30 more chapters to do, and that's going to be easy enough, because all I have to do is read it. But Vadim sets this whole sort of program, if you will, that if you want to be successful at hacking the matrix and the technogenic system, and to be able to really live the principles of reality transurfing and materialize in that way, you have to be very intentional in your life. And that includes the stuff you put in your mouth, the stuff that grabs your attention, the relationships that you have, and the environment that you're in. They have to be conducive to supporting reality creation.
Right.
And if they're not, you're kind of fucked.
As most of us are.
Well, yeah. And you know, my feeling like I just came out of like this really, really challenging period where I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, where a lot of what I had created, which had worked for a while, was working. And then all of a sudden, you know, you invite a few rogue agents into your reality, and holy fuck, it turns to shit. And it took a while to like really just be able to like transform that, especially when there are other people in your space co-creating reality with you in your space. And that was a really, really hard lesson for me, because when you live with people, you've got clashes of your respective universes that are like happening.
Right. And energetic incompatibilities in some cases.
Indeed, because we live in a physical universe and it has certain rules. Okay. And the harmonies of energies, you know, the one vibrating high comes down, the one vibrating low comes up. There's an equilibrium that happens. It's fucked. I don't recommend it. You know, which is why I like to live alone. I have a great partner. Do I want to live with him ever? No. No, I don't. I'm sorry. He's hooked up to Siri and Alexa. I don't want to have anything to do with that shit. You know,
he lives in.
I'm done with Wi-Fi, and I turn it the fuck off. I've got Faraday cages all over my house. You know, I'm minimizing my exposure, and that's not to say I hate technology, because I don't. Sure. I love all my techie toys. I benefit from it. I see the benefit, but I also see the benefit of unplugging and not having that shit waving around and coming through my cells all the time. It's like,
right. I think anyone who has had the power, like they're in the house and then the power gets cut, like a transformer blows or whatever. Have you noticed the difference in the way you feel? Like, it's
shit.
There's a change in the way you feel instantly, and it's like, that's a thing.
Indeed.
It is absolutely a thing.
It's totally true.
And your dude lives in like an electromagnetic swamp.
Yeah, and you know, he says he's fine with whatever. I'm not okay with it. So I've got a Faraday hat on, a t-shirt on, you know, I'm covering my thigh, and you know, that's what I'm doing. He thinks I'm full of shit. I don't care. Good.
I would take your advice on health, given how you look like 30 years younger than you're supposed to, over most anyone else's health advice.
It's like, I am not going to subject myself, you know, and the bottom line too. I mean, I'm just following the science. No, you're not. You're not keeping track of the latest research that is coming out each and every day. Yeah. You know, so I mean, when people want to blow that off, or they want to blow off any information about chemtrails or the dangers of 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, and all that kind of shit, you know, I mean, whatever. I don't care. It's like, good for you. Well, you know, guy screaming, motherfucker. No, I'm kidding. I take that back. I take that back.
Enneagram 8, folks. Enneagram 8.
But I find it very I find that kind of dismissal by these people who just want to use the term conspiracy theorist, nutcase, in order to avoid consequences.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
that's
I mean, can you be even more of a dumb shit? I mean, really.
that's a fifth generation warfare term anyway, designed to disrupt people who were looking for answers. Like
Mhm.
I remember growing up when looking for answers and trying to find out what was actually going on was something that you praised people for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not anymore, because,
Not
and of
anymore.
course they've weaponized that. You've got Snopes, Wikipedia got hijacked a long time ago. NPR got hijacked 30 years ago. I mean, all these places where people would, they were their go-tos for information. The Google is like hijacked now too. You got AI spewing bullshit just
What?
to corral the masses.
You
You know,
you mean you mean Nina Totenbag at NPR has an agenda? No. No. But by the way, I want to say something I noticed in the last, I don't know, let's call it 3-4 months.
yeah.
A bunch of people, you, me, some other friends, we all had this very similar experience of discovering that we were in situations, interpersonal situations that were really bad for us,
Mhm,
and breaking it off. Like
mhm.
I noticed that as a like we all went through it.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, it was I think it was a whole trajectory of the last bits of Saturn in Pisces. And
Okay.
now we've got Saturn in Aries, where, Pisces, all our little delusions and the things that, like for me, one of my biggest delusions that has always come back to bite me, and this is part of my naivete, is that I want to see the good in everybody.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't want to believe that people are fucking grifters and con artists. I don't want to believe it.
Right. And
And yet
so
they are. And yet they are. And I invited one into my fucking home,
yeah.
you know.
More red flags than a Chinese army parade,
Holy
but you don't care.
crap, man. Holy
Yeah,
fucking crap.
I bet.
So, my bad. I did it. I did it to myself. I let somebody's fucking sad story, grift me.
Right.
And so last year was the year of the grift, and all the grifters were fucking outed like that.
And now,
And unfortunately, a grifter in your life, or grifters in your life, are going to have some consequences, and it's going to take a while for all that shit to just cycle out.
right. By the way, do you have Lord Cappy handy? Is Lord Cappy handy?
Shall I go get Lord Cappy?
I think so.
I'm going to go get the Lord Cappy. Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So yes, and enjoy the view of the plants and the little things.
Absolutely.
Lord Cappy.
I hope everyone is having a great time listening to Marja. As you have figured out by now, she is incredibly multidimensional. This is a person who, honestly, she's probably lived 3 or 4 or 5 average lives in the span of one, and she's not done. I do want you to know that she has a website, lovetruthandbeauty.com, and I know the guy who made it. So it's a great place if you want to learn more about our dear friend Marja. You can go there. I just refreshed the about page there, so you can see the amazing things that she's been involved with over the years. I do believe she's got a book, but I want to say she's going to do a new version of it. So I was entertaining the troops while you were there. We go. Lord Cappy.
Okay, Lord Cappy. It's because I've got Capricorn rising in Western astrology, and Sagittarius rising. Sag rising in Vedic. Look at that. Isn't he cute?
Oh, Lord Cappy. from Cornwall. Oh, young Lord Cappy.
And
How
look,
you doing?
look at this. I mean, is that just the
Oh.
cutest dude ever? He's just so sweet, and he's coming on the trip with me, don't you?
Oh,
Aren't you, baby?
I like his beard. He looks like he's from a '90s grunge band. It's great.
Kind of is, I think. Right, buddy? Yeah.
Why not?
Anyways.
Thank
Yes.
you. So,
You were talking about my book?
I was talking about your book, talking about your
Yes.
website, all the MarjaWest resources, the places.
Well, I'm doing a third edition because it was one of the things that I like about myself. I can admit when I'm wrong. I can admit when I have made an assumption that didn't come true, or that wasn't true, or that are full of falsehoods. So I started writing the book in 2004, and it took 10 years to complete it. That was in 2014. It cost me everything that I had at the time burned to the ground after that book was published. And then the second edition came out. Actually, Freeman Fly was cool enough to invite me around the time that launched. And so here it is, 2018, which cost me stuff. So here we are, fast forward 7 years later to 2025, and oh my God, I have to come clean, because a lot of the stuff that I wrote about and tried to cling to have fallen apart.
Okay.
So it is my come to Cappy moment, because I mean, that's what you do. I'm not a concretized person.
Okay.
Where I'm living these principles and that's it forever. There's no growth. No, there is continued growth. And you discover as you get older that a lot of the shit that you thought worked were traps. And that is what I have discovered. So I'm actually in the process of putting all that together. And it is very humbling. Sure. Writing is not easy for me. It's painful. Right. So it's very cathartic. Yeah.
Happy
is helping me. Yeah, look at him. He's so cute. Look at that little tail. Oh my God. So much pleasure from just such a little guy.
Why not? Lord Cappy at your service. Straight from Devon.
Oh my God. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
It is cool. If you, this is, I don't know how much longer you want to do. I don't mind doing however long you want to do this.
What time is it? Oh, we got, yeah. I'm good.
We've been rocking it for an hour and a half. If you wanted people, we're just kind of going into the future, and there's people and they're standing around, they're talking about MarjaWest, and they go, "Oh wow, she was so cool. Yeah, I remember the most important thing that she ever said to me was." Now I want you to say, just give me like the jewel that you want MarjaWest to have passed on. What would that be?
Okay, don't go to the light. Fuck it. Don't go to the light. Don't go to the light. It's a trap.
Don't go to the light, Carol Ann.
Find the holes in the matrix and go back. Go back home for real.
Go.
Okay? There's holes in this matrix dome. I've actually seen the holes.
Okay.
I remember it has to be maybe 15 years, maybe 20 years ago. I was cloud watching, which I do often. I was laying on grass, and I just remember looking up and going, what the fuck is that? And now, mind you, I'm thinking, okay, is this because I've seen The Matrix? Is The Matrix like influencing me?
Okay, right.
Is that what's going on? I don't know. And I just remember like there were holes, and I'm going, wow, they need to fix that. And it made me realize, wait, is this a simulation?
Mm,
Yeah.
somebody needs to patch that hole in the fabric of reality.
Well, apparently, according to Wes Penra's work, there's so many holes, the overlords can't keep track. And here's the thing, kids.
Okay.
These fucking overlords, they need to harvest our energy in order to exist. We don't need them. We can actually escape through the holes in the matrix. They have to stay here. They created it. They can't go where we can go.
Okay. So the landlords have to stay here.
Yeah. And that's why they require our bodies. They require our life force energy. They require us to be mind controlled to go to the light after we die. And sign up, re-up for another lifetime. You know what? No.
No. I think if I get another dog, I'm going to name it Moksha, just to make sure I keep my eye on the ball.
Yeah, indeed.
And I'll say, I love you, Moksha. I'm feeding you, Moksha.
Indeed.
Well, I want you, Moksha.
I gotta say, it's one of the reasons why I don't have cats or dogs anymore, because the last set of cats that I had almost killed me. Like, almost killed me. I was so heartbroken when I had to put down my last kitty cat back in 2019. And it cost me so much money to fly in on the fly. I mean, get a flight, not book a flight, but get a flight as soon, and no coach seats whatsoever. Everything was first class or business class. And it was so expensive. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, okay, I really can't do that. And I'm just too attached. I mean, look how attached I am to Lord Caffey.
I know.
So
I'm going to mention this too. This is the secret to the Enneagram 8, because Enneagram 8s have a reputation, right? Of like, you guys are the challengers, you guys are actual literal Satan, whatever. But here's the thing. If you are accepted and loved by an Enneagram 8, you are never more loved, you are never more protected, and you will never have a more loyal and faithful protector than an 8 if you're on the inside. But I think of it this way. It's like 8s are like a machine gun nest. You don't want to be on the outside of the machine gun nest. You want to be in the nest. You know?
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And it is true. It is true. And a reality, a transurfing version of that is, I let the universe handle the details for those motherfuckers. Yeah. Anybody who crosses, anybody who is just a douche, I don't have to do anything. It's taken care of.
Right. It's very Krishna in some ways.
Yes, indeed.
Arjuna, Turbo. So what's the newest thing for you? I want to know, like, what's the freshest, brandy, newest, coolest thing that you've encountered lately? What's the coolest?
Well, I gotta say, so I have a lot of, I've got clients who are really working through some big stuff.
Okay.
And I've got a number of clients who are like, really, they are on a world stage platform. Some of them are Sounds True authors, TikTok people, YouTube. I mean, I don't really pay attention, but my job to be able to not only deactivate the trauma that is kind of plaguing forward movement, but also to up level people's mindset so that they can think properly, to be able to like really materialize what they're meant to materialize, right? So, and I've got students who learn to do what it is that I do. And a lot of these people, I attract a lot of people who are survivors of trafficking. survivors of labor trafficking. That is a whole new thing for me. Sex trafficking is one thing, but labor trafficking, it's like, whoa, because they're very similar and they're not at the same time. So for me, you talk about one of the things that I'm up leveling is I'm up leveling the enjoyment of my life. So awesome. I'm engaging a lot, re-engaging a lot of tools, and I've been a homeopathy person. I don't include it in my practice so much anymore, but I'm working with an amazing homeopath named Ilona Woods. She's in the UK, and so I've been working with her for the last 6 months, and oh wow, what's happened? So what's happened is that my quotient for enjoyment has gone up. And so I've up leveled my self-care to like include things like my sense of smell can either make me or break me.
Okay.
And so I use a lot of aromatherapy. Like right now at my desk, I've got what's left of doTERRA elevation, so when I'm really stressed, a sniff of this and it just levels the playing field and just does a reset. I've also got Godiva's Gems, which smells like chocolate, which I like. Nice. And by the way, perfumes, I don't do that much, but I do like to smell like food. So
okay.
A sort of gourmand kind of scent, helichrysum, which smells like honey, is another stress thing. But what I discovered, and I discovered this through my friend Meredith, who's also a client of mine, she turned me on to a company called Living Libations. And I've got Siberian fir, which I love. I love. It reminds me of Finland and Russia. That with snow and being frozen and about to get sent into the lake by my grandmother. Right. But also what I'm really digging, because I love lilacs, and when I was in San Francisco, I had grafted different lilacs onto the lilac bushes that I had. It took them 10 years to bloom, but when they did, it's like, oh my God, right after a freeze, right before spring, they would all pop, and you can literally hear them pop.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they were great. So anyways, there's a little balm here. It's so awesome. And so I just take a little bit and I go here, go to my third eye, to my throat. It just smells so wonderful, and it calms me the fuck down.
Nice.
So I've been indulging in new aromatherapy. I like my lotions and potions and that kind of thing. And I really, really, really like the homeopathic remedies that I've been working with Ilona. And I just finished a 2-month parasite cleanse detox.
Oh my.
Holy shit. Wow. Taking ivermectin. That's right, kids. That's
OMG.
right.
I can't believe you said the word.
I did. I said it. I don't fucking care. Everybody can kiss my butt because it was made for humans first before the animals. It's been around for decades.
Yeah, like 80 years, and it's a Nobel Prize winning human drug.
So calm the fuck down, people.
And, I can't believe you took horse dewormer. Oh
I know. Well, I was deworming myself, literally.
Right.
And so one of the things that I experienced about this, and because one of the things that I did, much to my folly, was try to put on 20 pounds by forcing myself to drink beer.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't particularly like beer, but I got into it because, I did manage to put on like 10 pounds, but then the 10 pounds is predicated on me keeping on with the beer, which I'm not much into. So
Gotcha.
I stopped drinking beer a couple months ago and decided, you know what? I need to do a cleanse. And so the result of the cleanse is, I'm enjoying my food more. I think maybe the parasites were sort of hijacking my nutrition. But what's interesting is that part of when I feel stress, I'm now like breaking out into these sort of transitory hives. The hives last 10, 15 minutes at the most, then they're gone.
Okay.
So it's an expression because the skin is one of the ways we detox. And so perhaps I'm, cycling through the rest of the sort of histamine blast, but also too, because I changed my diet, I might also be discovering food sensitivities that I may not have to eat anymore. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
So those are the new things that are like,
Yeah.
my life where I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I'm going to take a hiatus from interviewing other people on my YouTube channel because I've got a bunch of self-care stuff that I want to share. And, really get back to my own stuff, particularly around energy kung fu mastery,
Right.
which is really, really important, especially during these times where people's attention, their energy, their creativity, all of it is getting hijacked by this outer reality and this inner reality that they have no control over. So it's really, really important to be able to deal with cyber entities from the lower astral planes, also the hijacking of your attention by these pop culture pendulums and egregores and mass consciousness realities that would dare try to shove down your throat who you are, who you need to be, how you need to live, etc. Because I know a lot of people are not very happy.
No. Now, I want to also mention, this is worth mentioning. So you offer a lot of things, and recently you helped me,
Yes.
helped me with a couple of things. The first was a kind of a jammed up, stuck lymph node. And so you showed me some cool, like Marja Fu.
Indeed. And I've got a video. I'm going to make a video that shows that step by step by step by step.
Yeah, and it did work. It took a little while, but that was because we were being gentle. So it's basically like a series of motions and very light brushings strategically done on the body. Super cool. The other thing, and I'm gonna be a little delicate with this one, and I think you know why.
Of course,
we worked through some trauma stuff with me, and got some old stuff moving, and honestly some stuff that I hadn't even considered, which is to say, when you have relations with people in a biological sense, there are energies involved, and what you don't, so it's obvious you think, okay, well, yeah, I can see how, me interfacing with this person and the energy transfer, all right, sure, I should be careful about that person. But there's more, because what I didn't think about, and probably most people don't, is, they have energy from others too. And so sometimes you end up with an energetic transfer that is kind of beyond your ability to have predicted, let's say. So I did get some tremendous help from you in that regard.
Yay!
So thank you.
You're welcome.
I almost want to say to people, because you've got so much that you know and that you do and that you're able to give. I almost think people should just like contact you and be like, hey, I've got this thing. Do you have a thing for it? Because that's
pretty much how it goes.
Yeah.
you
Because
know.
you did stuff, and look, I did your website. So
Yes.
I know what you offer, but everything that you offered me recently was not, well, maybe with one exception, was really not on the menu, right? It was like I got the off menu Marja, and it was super cool.
It was on the menu, actually. It was a combination of the
Okay.
comic pages.
All right.
Yeah.
But the clearing of the lymph, that wasn't, I don't think that was on the menu.
Yeah, that was part of energy kung fu mastery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are obviously very deep practices with a lot of pieces to it. So I wasn't privy to the ins and outs of it. So
Yeah.
all right, fair enough. It's on the menu. That's good.
Yeah.
I want you to tell folks where you can be found. Now you've so YouTube, right? Website, right?
Yes.
But networks or Substack. Well, what's going on?
Yeah, I am plotting my Substack debut.
Okay.
And it should be I am predicting midsummer, end of summer, I'm going to do it. It's basically the new version of my books. And I'm going to pump it out on Substack and do it that way because I don't want to have anything to do with the publishing companies. I'm sick of it. Between a real deal publisher and self-publishing and all that kind of stuff, I'm so done. I have the 2 volumes and all the research that I did and paying editors, and I dropped $100 grand. I just am like, I'm done. I don't have $100 grand. I don't want $100 grand to go into this. I just want to put it out. And some of my friends are actually in a lot of dismay about it, but it is what it is. And I'm going to do 2 versions of it. There's a written version. I'm going to do a video version of it or a podcast version of it. But those are the plans. So that will be coming. My Substack is Dakini Kiss. So that's going to be a whole thing of its own. My YouTube channel is Love, Truth, and Beauty.
Yes.
My website is lovetruth.andbeauty.com. And those are the places. You can find me on Facebook and the Instagram. Those are mostly, what are they? They're bookmarks. They're bookmarks where you can find my stuff. I'm on One Great Work Network. That's a bookmark and a platform for people to find me through Mark Passio's work. And, I love Mark. I don't agree with everything that he says. He doesn't agree with me, but I have a deep respect for him.
Right. I bet he's an 8 too. I really do.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And I'm a great admirer of Michael Tessarian. And I actually was a client of his many years ago, back in the 90s. And so I learned a lot about the tarot with him. And that is another discipline that I am fully immersed in still to this day, along with the runes. So tarot, runes, I'm into it. Numerology, I'm into it. Astrology, both sidereal and Western, I'm into it. I'm also into shamanic astrology, the work of Daniel Giamario. And what I like about him, what game changed astrology for me, because I'd already been exposed to Western and Vedic and had taken some classes, but shamanic astrology was amazing because, and I will distill it like this, your rising sign is your mission.
Okay.
Your moon sign is your tribe, your soul tribe. And your sun sign are the ingredients that you need to have in your environment to not just honor your tribe, but to honor and fulfill your mission.
Gotcha.
So, so for me, Capricorn rising, what is Capricorn rising? So that's me systemizing all kinds of stuff based on my interests, right? So
Right.
my interests, and usually it will be matters of the heart. So wherever Venus is and wherever Pluto is. So I've got Venus and Pluto conjoined in the 8th house in Virgo. Holy shit.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's fun. So I'm here to systemize shadow work and relationships. That's my goal. And that is what I have been doing.
gotcha.
My moon, so my soul tribe is in the 5th house in Gemini. So I'm all about dance, music, theater, performance, celebration, having a good time, communication. Okay.
Nice.
My sun sign is in Libra. So what do I need? What's the environment that I need? I need harmony. I need beauty. I need art.
You could say you need love, truth, and beauty.
I need love, truth, and beauty. Exactly. And what I always cultivated based on that Libra thing, I never cultivated harmony. I got in and I cleaned up other people's messes, whether it was taking care of their kids, taking on their kids, taking on homeless people, taking on projects, blah, blah, blah. So my household was always in a disarray. I grew up in a drama household. So I didn't quite figure out that piece. And once Daniel explained that to me, it's like, oh shit. Every shit show that was in my inner circle just fell apart or blew up in my face, and I was forced. And then, of course, what did I do last year? I invited another disruptor in. And it's funny because Saturn in Pisces is all about our illusions, you know, the places where we don't want to get real. She's not really wounded. She's okay. She's not a grifter. He's not a grifter. He's not lying. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, anyways, that was a mouthful.
No, it's good. I do. This is me being bad. Have you ever seen anyone get ever so slightly argumentative over sidereal versus tropical?
Oh my God, I stopped a bitch fight. Holy crap. Yes, that was actually quite recently where I met these two ladies at the dog park, not at the same time. And they're both astrologers. And one is a sidereal astrologer, Vedic astrologer. The other one is a Western. And I thought it would be really cool because they're around the same age. They have kids the same age. Oh, they could like get it together. And oh, was I wrong? Holy shit. It was a bitch fight. I thought they were going to really start tearing each other's hair out. And so, yeah, that was not a good, I thought it would be a good idea, but I really had no idea the sort of heated controversy between the two. And I do them all, you know, I really enjoy Western astrology. That's kind of like my go-to, but in Vedic astrology, the nakshatras, all of that kind of thing, I love it because I have found that wherever they are, as things unfold, as each day unfolds, is really, really helpful in navigating what I'm up against in my transits in Western astrology. So can't we all get along, bitches? I mean, really?
I'd say the answer is no.
No, we can't. And apparently that controversy is real.
Oh, is it ever?
I mean, it's messed up. It's like, holy shit. It's like vegans versus carnivores. Like, who'd have thunk?
Yeah. And yeah, it is acrimonious. It's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So yeah, you found out.
Yeah, it was most unpleasant. It was really unpleasant because now they're both mad at me.
Well, of
And
course, it's your fault
whatever.
that they hate each other.
Yeah. But I think all these disciplines have gifts, and you just be open to receive each of the gifts from wherever they come from, you know.
Yeah. Well, I tend to look at it this way. I can look over my long and winding road, right? And I can look back on the many things that I looked into, tried, subsequently changed my mind about, or maybe abandoned. But honestly, that was part of the ride. Some of those things that I don't really do anymore were what got me here.
Yes.
So
Indeed.
It's not my job to tell other people like, oh, you're on the wrong road. Oh, this is dumb. Oh, you should just do this thing that I do and forget all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Evolution is not black and white. So, you know, part of the difficulty in redoing my book, okay, is it's not black and white. So I'm having to weave the realizations in between the old and the new, and doing that in a way where it makes sense and where it's relatable, because and I think it makes it much more relatable because it's not black and white. We've got many shades of gray, black and white, and technicolor, and then some. Then there's the, you know, sort of infrared,
right, yeah.
ultraviolet, and the shit we can't see, and
X-rays.
Indeed. And most of the stuff that we can't see, that is where all the magic actually is happening.
Yeah.
You know.
It has been a magic conversation with you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to be on my teeny tiny little channel. And I'm just super glad that we are friends. So I'm excited. I hope folks can follow the links in my description that I will surely put in there and not forget to do. And they will be able to find you. If you want to send me those links, like including the One Great Network, you know, all this stuff.
Okay. The LinkTree.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
just on the okay.
Yeah.
LinkTree. So yeah. Thank you. And Lord Cappy.
Yeah, bye.
For making an appearance. And
okay, he's so cute. Look how
he
cute
is.
he is. He's just my little precious boy.
I could only dream of being that cute. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I know.
Right.
Look at him. He's so cute.
Everybody check out lovetruthandbeauty.com and
Bye, loves. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.